Susan, are you recording yet?
Yeah, we were just having technical difficulties. We are good.
Okay, great. Well, welcome everyone. Do we have any visitors or anyone that we need to introduce?
Nope.
All right, any comments on non-agenda items that,
I'm sorry, I don't recognize you, and I apologize if I should know you,
That's okay.
because when you're on there, you look a little different than when you're on person. And I'm also old and have no memory. So would you just introduce
So I'm
yourself?
Courtney Middleton, the interim director of migrant education.
Thank you very much. Okay, glad to have you here.
yeah, welcome, welcome. Where is that? How many people? All right, so Dana, you're on.
I'm on. All right. All right. I would like to start. It is School Board Appreciation Month. So I would like to start by saying thank you for the work that you do for our ESD. It is often, in my opinion, quite a thankless job. And in these current political and economic times, it's a difficult job. And I truly appreciate that you continue to choose to serve. The quotes on the one sheet, Mercedes King in our Human Resources Office pulled them all together. Those are from directors and staff members here at the ESD. And I wanted to make sure that you knew how much you are appreciated for the work that you do for our ESD. Okay.
Beautiful. Great, well, thank you. It's always nice to be appreciated.
They can have a side job for weddings and so forth.
It's obviously not a thankless job.
So yeah, January, we're up and running and doing all of our normal monthly meetings, check-ins, things like that. The directors had, I thought it was going to be kind of a dry meeting and people actually got rather engaged in it. We had a training from the Oregon Ethics Commission last week talking about things that you should and shouldn't do as public employees, whether or not you're a school board member or a volunteer firefighter or a school district or an ESD employee. And the trainer was fabulous, I thought. I mean, considering the situation he was working in. And so that was great. We also had a very robust meeting a week ago with our North Central ESD partners, led by Kelly Hildebrandt, who is the program director for Oregon Association of ESDs. And she spent time with us talking to us about Senate Bill 141, which is Oregon's new accountability bill. Some of you have been around long enough to know when things like SIM and CAM were being talked about.
Yep,
So see, and
we did it.
I know.
We were one of
Yes,
very few districts
yes.
Hood River
So,
was.
This is the latest iteration of an accountability bill. This one is very all-encompassing and will impact school districts, ESDs in many different ways. And so I thought it was important. Kelly has been very deeply involved in the work. She's been testifying at the Oregon State School Board. She's been involved with ODE and helping to write some of the rules. If you read the School Board Association daily updates, you'll see a lot of things that are coming out. And so we spent quite a bit of time with her learning what she knows now and what is yet to come this spring. So that was another, I think, important thing that we took on in the last couple of weeks. And it's everything from, and you've heard Vanessa and I talk about this, they're talking about rewriting all of the budget codes that Vanessa would have to use.
Sure.
Yes.
Really,
Because they're trying to link the money that they spend directly to student achievement, and they want to be able to do that in a more streamlined way. There's been a tremendous amount of pushback from the field. And there's been a lot of joint advocacy with OSBA, with Oregon Association of ESDs, but I do believe that there will be revisions to that. I just think that the timeline's going to be a little bit longer. There will also be some changes. Many of you worked in K-12 districts. Division 22 and Division 24 standards. Division 22 is all about school districts and what it takes to be considered a standard school district. Division 24 is what oversees ESDs. We fulfill most of our requirements by our local service plan, and it gets turned into ODE every year. But they're talking about making changes to those Oregon administrative rules also. And then you're going to start to hear a lot of things about student interim assessments, local metrics that districts can choose, And again, similar to, you go all the way back to like No Child Left Behind, after 2 years of not meeting the metrics, after 3 years of not meeting the metrics, and ODE is talking about intensive coaching and things like that. And ESDs, from what we can tell right now, are very well positioned to be able to support districts. We're trying to be very careful that we're not put in the position where we have to end up going in and helping districts whether they want it or not. And that's been some of the conversation with Dr. Williams and Dr. Weatherall at ODE about making sure that ESDs don't get put in that position. On the budget front, there's been just in the last day or two, some, I think, favorable news from the federal level. It appears that the Senate bill is more than likely going to be the bill that will pass for education appropriations, which means that things like migrant education would be flat funded. Might be flat funded on last year's number, but it's better than eliminated. And so that it's looking better. We still are all waiting for our February economic forecast at the state level. But again, you've probably been reading that large districts, Eugene, Salem, Portland Public, are looking at very sizable reductions without waiting for that February forecast. Lower birth rates, declining enrollment, increasing staff costs, including the increases in PERS, are causing districts to have to look at closing schools, making cuts, even prior to knowing what's going to happen with that February forecast. And that's been getting a lot of play at the state level recently. Next week, Maury, myself, several folks from here, Vanessa here in the region, will be attending a joint conference between school administrators and the Association for School Business Officials. And I'm sure that there'll be lots of conversation about budgets, how to plan for things, and for districts that had PERS side accounts. There's been a lot of conversations about what's happening right now with PERS rates and PERS side accounts.
It just came out that the legislative committees are looking at eliminating the QEC and adjacent funding. Has that been part of your conversation too? Did that come as a surprise?
No, I heard about it honestly from my coach, from John Rexford, but they're talking about eliminating the QEM and going with an outside agency to basically determine funding levels. And it hasn't been talked about yet through our Friday forums with COSA. I don't know if it'll come up at our conference next week or not.
I think there's a hidden trap in there that legislative policy folks would be the determining agency for funding.
Yep.
They do not like K-12. They want to put money into healthcare, and that is a real issue about who gets to control not just the purse strings at the top, but where the dollars go in the wallet. And I think it would be a detriment if that happens to us. And we'll see.
Yeah, we've never been funded at the quality education model, but they
Once.
use it one time
24, 25,
Close.
close,
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
add-ons.
with the app. Yeah, but that just happened within the last few days also.
Yeah.
And I thought the article on the Portland cuts was,
Yeah,
It-
300
Oregonian.
positions.
no,
Yes.
but I thought it really laid it out pretty well. And we know Springfield and Eugene and Salem Kaiser all facing big cuts. So
In some cases, mid-year
Mid-year layoffs.
mid-year just not free-filling vacancies.
Yeah, Oregon City High School the kids went out on strike because of a cut of 14.
Yeah.
14 at the high school.
Yeah, the piece about declining enrollment will eventually catch up with us also, because that's how our resolution funds are determined.
Yeah.
And so, Vanessa and I watch that, because, that will catch us up. Districts had to turn in their estimate of enrollment for the fall. And this group of kindergartners, 2026, was born at the very tail end of the pandemic, and we're seeing declining birth rates. And they're graduating bigger classes and not getting as many kindergartners coming in.
Yep. Okay. All right. Anything else for data?
Yeah, thank you.
We think.
We think.
Sorry.
Thank you, we think.
gotta know.
It sounds good though.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And now we know. Thanks for your
Vanessa,
gentle delivery.
money.
Yes.
Speaking of money,
Hi, good evening, Chair Nelson, esteemed board members and colleagues. As we audit approaches completion, we're not quite there yet. We're close to finalizing our reports for 24-25. I know that sounds weird, but we're working on a few different years. We began our internal budget preparations. We'll meet with department directors probably towards the end of February, just to talk about budget for 26-27. Our calendar year end processes for 2025. We've actually completed our 1099s. We're almost done with the lead reviews. Hoping this week we shall have them finalized. And then we received the majority of our award agreements, and we're still working on claims. We've processed our first payroll of the new calendar year. I feel like that went well. We below is a current breakdown of our fund balances, and expenditure reports were provided separately. Do you have any questions?
we have enough money to pay our bills every month.
You do.
What are you waiting on, state or federal?
We are waiting on a few things. REN, or no, sorry, not REN. Sorry,
STEM.
we're waiting on STEM.
Yeah.
And that's
That's
and I
state.
think-
Tim, a little bit from school safety prevention.
Yeah.
That contract just came in on Friday, and I'm not in agreement. I'm not willing to sign it yet. And a little bit in Maury's education and innovation.
21st century. We're still waiting on an agreement, but we have funds in EGUMs. We're not able to claim anything on that yet. So we have carryover funds though that we could claim. There's not many things that are outstanding, really. Just a couple.
So it's basically state funds is what we're missing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
And what kind of return are we getting in the local government fund?
4.1,
Yeah, I want to say.
4.2.
Yeah, sorry, I did not look at that.
But
I can get that.
four-ish,
Four-ish,
Yeah.
yes, it is.
that's not bad.
Yeah.
I'll take it. Better than sitting in the bank. Okay, thank you. Kip?
Good evening, board members, colleagues online and here. We have 5 posted positions right now. The HR team has worked on job descriptions with the union and Stingray Consultants, and we've completed that project and turned it over to Dana for her review and approval, which is nice. Got that done on time. Our team is also working on required state reporting, which is the annual ODE staff position collection, which is always a fun task to do. We're prepping for contract renewals for licensed positions that we want to get to you at the next board meeting because it has to be approved by March 15th. And then, as you well know, we're preparing for collective bargaining. We hired 2 great people. We hired Kayla Berg as a whole child nurse for Gina's team. And I think, according to Gina, she's working out really well. And we also hired Kelly Archer for Kristen's team as a new admin assistant for early learning. So that was exciting. We're planning for the Friday, March 6th spring in-service, which we hope that you guys will come and share lunch with us. We'll make sure you get that invitation. And we've actually set a date for the pre-summer barbecue, which you're also invited to. So lots of good stuff going. Happy to answer any questions.
Kayla Berg, is she from Hood River by any chance?
I believe she is.
It's a large Berg family there, so I was just wondering.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kip. All right, consent agenda. I've got a couple of questions, but somebody want to make a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I would move we approve the consent agenda.
A second?
Okay, I have a second. I'm going to give you my bias here. We have a policy, ESD budget, DBD, ESD budget. And we use the term they, there. I'm an old school. I would prefer me, the old school, he or she, but I'm just going to say that's my bias. If that's what we're supposed to do now to be consistent with state law, then that's what we're supposed to do. I had a question on the military leave one. And it's, I'm trying to find it here. There just isn't grammatical one, and maybe it's what we're supposed to say again.
I went through this with her too. And I just let her take care of it because I was old school too, and the old school isn't what's out there now anymore. So I gave up.
Yeah, second, toward the bottom says employees who is a veteran, and employees is plural, is singular.
Or,
Yeah, okay. Okay, on that.
You win.
You win. That was a good one.
I can
was a
catch
good
that one, okay. And then on immunizations, what do we do given the push to not immunize and the reduction in immunizations in families? What are we doing when children show up and are not immunized and parents refuse to be immunized because somebody named Kennedy says you don't have to be?
Well, this is a timely question because that's what Victor and I are working on right now. So there are a couple different routes. There's actually 3 different routes that parents can go. One, they can get a medical exemption from their doctor. 2, they can get a non-medical exemption, which requires them to either watch a video, an educational video, or get some education from their pediatrician. Or they can get what's called immunity. So they go in and basically it's like a test that shows that they are already immune to, like they've either had it, like maybe they already had chicken pox, so they don't need the varicella vaccine. And then as soon as they have one of those 3, they are good to go.
And if they refuse?
They can get a non-medical, they have to get either the non-medical exemption is the route that most families go.
Okay. Do we have many exemptions?
Not a lot. It's we post the percentages on our website. So it's under the Sunshine Kids portion of, I think I can't say off the top of my head, but it's like a good 80 to 90%. It is, most children have most of their vaccines.
And we have the exclusion if there's, we have an outbreak and they aren't immunized, they can be sent home. The health department would tell us.
Yes, I would call the health department if that happened. We have not, luckily we haven't had to.
Like if we had an outbreak of measles and we had children that were not immunized, and I don't know what the declaration on that is. Anyway.
There've been some cases in Oregon,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's a good question. I don't have an answer yet.
And I have one more. On the both records request or education records, two different ARs. There's this thing that says we have to. This is to Susan. We have to. Records must be provided within not to exceed 10 business days. Is that a state law?
That is.
Okay, that's a new state law. Okay, all right. Okay. Anything else?
Old
on-
superintendent.
Well, I was accused at one time of dragging my feet on getting records released. But, okay, and that's probably why superintendents have done that in the past, why we have that law. Okay. Anything else? Any other comments from board members on the consent agenda? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, moving on. Request for a resolution of support from the Columbia Gorge Native American Youth Advisory Council and Unity Network membership. Do I have a motion?
I move that we accept the immunization, or organization rather, of the Native American Youth Advisory Council and Unity Network.
All right.
Second.
Second? Quick question. What does this obligate the ESD to, if anything? Or are we just showing support or?
Just showing support so that if personnel changes, that it's already, that this program will continue.
Okay, all right. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Hey,
Opposed, same sign. Passes unanimously.
right.
Wonderful group tonight. New policy, second reading, on the financial reserves. And I think we just ought to look at this a little closer because it is new and it does commit us to some percentages that are, for those of us who've been in K-12, that are different from a K-12. Do you want to explain, maybe, I don't know, Vanessa or Dana wants to explain it?
Good, I can start.
Yeah.
So 5% is what's typical for a K-12 organization. And that's pretty much what you will see across the state. They're more heavily reliant on the state school fund, and they get regular payments from the State Department of Education. We rely very heavily on special revenue accounts. Almost 60% of our budget is special revenue accounts. And what you heard Vanessa just alluding to in her financial report, what happens particularly at the beginning of a biennium budget is that all of our grants are up for renewal and we get a new contract from ODE. Well, it's January, so we're 7 months into this year, and we're still waiting on a few of our contracts to come through from ODE. And the challenge is that the money that we get from local property taxes, which is in our LGIP account that earns a good interest rate, that money's gone by July, August, September, October, and oftentimes our state contracts have not come in, particularly at the beginning of a biennium. And so the recommendation, and I actually checked in with Jackie Olson, who is the executive director for the Oregon Association of School Business Personnel, is to go higher and is to go more 8-10%. This for general fund balance, we're proposing 8. Obviously, it's up to you. If we're running an $18 million budget, that would be $1.4 million approximately. And I believe that the unappropriated ending fund balance from our 24-25 audit was 1.8 million. That number's a little bit deceiving because when Vanessa and I continued to pick up some rocks, we found that we had some payments we needed to make to some of our constituent districts. But we were close to that as far as unappropriated ending fund balance. But we also are recommending a financial reserve and a contingency reserve, in part because of one of the goals that you all have set, that we get ourselves better positioned to actually end up having our own place or to be a long-term leasee. And so if we're looking at 5% of our general fund, that's about $430,000. That financial reserve is one that we really have not ever accounted for in a budget here at this ESD, at least not that Vanessa and I can track down. The third piece, the contingency reserve, would be another 2.5% of the general fund revenue. And we did have $225,000 in our 25-26 budget for a contingency reserve. So on two of the three of these, we are within range. We would probably need to present you with a plan to work up to that financial reserve for maintenance and facilities.
So this says 15.5% total in reserve.
From the general fund side of our budget.
Which is how much in total?
Fund 100, 8.6 million, I think, in our 25-26 budget.
Sorry.
That's okay. I've got my budget book here too.
I know I have the budget up in one of my many tabs.
Uh-huh. It's 21st century. I'm going to go. So total 100 fund, I have 8.6 million in our adopted 25-26
Reserves?
budget. No, that was our total 100 fund.
So
We
15.5% of that.
1.25.
1.25 million. Okay.
I would love for you to not have to ask us if we can make payroll every month.
That goes back to when I started teaching, the school board always asked the superintendent at the meeting, can we make payroll and pay our bills?
Yes.
Back many years ago.
They're not bad questions.
No.
They're not bad questions. No, they're important questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so adopting this policy means you will then present us with a plan on how we get there. And it also tells us if we're doing this, what aren't we going to do because we aren't going to be spending money on program.
True.
So we need to know what the opposite, what the downside is of going to this. This is fiscally prudent, may not be programmatically prudent, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Mhm.
Sounds good, but whether we can do it is.
Yeah, and if we can do it, great, but I just think we have to look at both sides of the coin.
To say at what cost?
Yes.
Proactive rather than reactive.
So I hear a motion to approve the proposed policy as presented.
I move we approve the policy as presented.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Passes unanimously. Next item is the OAESD Officer Council elections, and it looks like we have someone we know very well running and Jill Conant from Malheur ESD. Do I have a recommendation on this, on the nomination for the OAESD Officer Council?
I'd like to vote for Paul.
So you're nominating Paul?
I'm nominating Paul.
Okay,
Second,
do I have a second?
yes, you do.
So Stacy nominated, Susie seconded. Any comments? And you've served on this before, haven't you?
I've served on it before, yes, several times, as a matter of fact, over my 20 years.
Yeah, well, it's 14 years as chair. Great, all right. Any comments, questions? Paul, want to say anything more?
I think I've said what I need to say. If we look at the comments that each made, I look at what have you done? Whereas it looks like Jill says, I just had a good time. One is a record of activity. The other is she's enjoyed her time on the SD board. Jill's a nice lady, I will say that.
And this goes to all the ESDs, correct? All
Yes.
ESDs are voting on this. Do we need this? Well, everybody's probably voting on it tonight, aren't they? Or this,
This week, next week, yes.
yeah, we should have gotten a letter out.
Yeah.
Apologize on that, okay? So I nominate Paul for the chair-elect for OAESD. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Passes unanimously. Notification of intent to bargain. I don't know that we have a choice on this. Never mind, I won't say what I was going to say. Do I have a motion to approve the?
Well, I would move that we accept the notification of their intent to bargain.
Thank you very much. Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have a second? Paul moved, Susie seconded. Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Passes unanimously. And adoption of the evaluation process. I'm going to turn this over to Dana to explain what's here.
Okay. I met with board leadership a few weeks ago, and what we discussed was that for the sake of continuity, that we would use the same rubric that was used last year. And so according to my contract, my evaluation needs to be done prior to March 1st. So in a February executive session, I will prepare under separate cover and send you my self-reflection on the OSBA evaluation tool for superintendents. I will also give you an update on the goals that we discussed, I believe, in October. And I will have that all presented to you prior to our February board meeting.
Okay, you have the rubric here. Is this something you do or do we all do?
Well, last year, I did a self-reflection and submitted it. And so I'm open to how you want to have it done this year. I mean, I think it can be done a variety of ways. I'm sure that Susan could send it out to everyone individually, and then she could compile the information. I can do a self-reflection. I would assume we can also just have a discussion and do it during an executive session.
As we did last year.
Which is what we've done before.
Yeah.
Brothers of the board? You
It
want to
sounds
proceed?
good to me to do it the way Dana's proposing with her self-reflection and then discussion that in executive session.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Stephanie?
Yep, that's it.
Paul?
Fine with me.
Okay, all right. Save Susan doing this. survey.
Yes. Extra.
Was that cheering I heard in the background?
Well, it's just kind
Okay.
of extra for her
it
to
is.
do. That's kind of silly.
All right, okey doke. All right, well, that's the way we'll proceed. Do we need to approve? Is this an action item or discussion item?
It is actually
Action,
an
yeah.
action because, last year you'd only adopted it for a year.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
I would move that we approve the adoption of the superintendent's evaluation process.
Second.
Okay, Paul moves, Susie seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Sign, nobody opposed, passes unanimously. Local service plan.
Point of order first.
Sure.
Can we
Sorry.
back up just a little bit to D? We were being kind of facetious about the entering into the bargaining.
Sure.
And I would prefer that the message go back, that we are looking forward
Yes.
with anticipation, cooperation, and love.
And love and kindness.
It just, facetious maybe doesn't fit right now.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I was obviously being a little tongue in cheek, so
Well,
thank you,
yes.
thank you for correcting
I
the.
didn't mean to correct, I
Our
just wanted to
flippantness.
amend.
No, thank you very much.
Okay.
I appreciate that. Okay, local service plan. Dana, do you want to explain it a little
Yep.
bit? I've got a couple questions.
All right. So Vanessa and I met with all 4 constituent districts in the month of December, superintendent and their CFO. And we talked about what's going well, if they foresaw any changes for next year. We spoke a little bit about things that I know that they know, but increasing costs and the fact that we are going to be bargaining this spring, things like that. And it's presented for you tonight to approve. And then with Susan's help, I am then going on a roadshow and I will be talking to all 4 of our constituent district boards over about the next 6 weeks. There were only a few minor changes. 2 of our districts, and I had spoken to you about this before, but 2 of our districts, due to some of our own financial irregularities, had local service plan allocations that put them a little bit in the red, and we carried that this year because we informed them far too late that that was happening. And so we discussed what might change. And so with one of our districts, they're pulling out a component of the local service plan that they're just going to go ahead and hire the person themselves. It does not mean a RIF for us because we were just contracting with an outside agency to provide the service. And so that solved that problem actually quite easily. Dufer, for example, is adding a service because Hannah's law, which went into effect on July 1st, requires that a registered nurse be the person that is directing a school nurse on medically related procedures. The principal can say you need to show up for work at this time and do lunch duty, but they can't direct them when it comes to doing anything that's medically related. And so Dufer has their own school nurse, but they're contracting with us to supervise that person and to help with training and things like that. So there were a few small tweaks, but I would tell you that for the most part, districts are very happy with the services they're receiving. They asked for some clarifications on things. For example, Stan was able to provide North Wasco with a very detailed list of what goes into providing tech services to an entire district. Everything from phones to fax machines to printers to over 200 cameras that all schools now have because it's a way that they can protect kids and families and laptops, Chromebooks, all of those things. And so we were able to provide some clarifying information to districts as needed. And we're going to we will go ahead and move forward with this plan. And then in the spring, once we're sure about what resolution funds will be for next year, we will start to actually develop costs and then go back out and meet with superintendents in the late spring.
Sounds like a plan, Stan.
Questions on the service plan? I've got a couple. We're looking at ADMW of 9155. Is that same, up, down?
I can get you, I think it's down slightly,
Okay.
but just a little bit. It's not, North Wasco had a bigger than average kindergarten class last year, which helped them. They're anticipating a smaller class next year. I have it in a slide deck, Doug, and I'll pull it up while we're talking.
And then I'm looking at kind of when you get into the services and you have ESD school funds, contractor grant. Kind of explain those two the difference between those two columns.
What page are you on?
It starts on first one's on page 7 or page 6. Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the difference? I mean, I just so I understand what that means when you say contractor grant. Or
So, for example, I mean, again, I'll use technology as the example. And so ESD State School Fund, through our local service plan, we provide technology services to North Wasco. And even for South Wasco and Dufur, we host their servers. The community college, we also host some of their servers. And so that's an outside contract. That's basically an entrepreneurial service. And so there are some cases, Mosier is another example. Mosier receives some services through North Wasco's local service plan, but they also now have chosen to contract with us for some nursing services. And so they pay for that outside of the local service plan. So it's more entrepreneurial.
So I'm looking at page 7. It says desktop support, addresses the L5 goals. And then 3 districts are taking advantage of it. And it says contractor grant potential.
Potential. We continue to talk to 2 of our 4 districts. They have folks that have been in those positions for quite a while that either have many other duties as assigned or are close to retirement. And we continue to remind them that we have a fabulous tech department and that we are ready and willing to support them. The challenge is that our districts are pretty much tapped out in what they have as far as resolution funds. So if they opt to start to take desktop support from us, it would be an additional cost. And I've got at least one superintendent that hasn't completely decided yet whether or not he wants desktop support for next year. So I just continue to remind him how great our team is.
And then if we move on to page 12, as an example, the 21st Century Grant, ESD school funds, no, that's a federal grant, but North Wasco, Dufur, and South Wasco are all taking advantage of that.
Yes, and we're the fiscal agent, which has been an immense lift for.
Okay, that helps me understand it. Thank you.
Yeah. I'll pull up the numbers while we're sitting here still.
Any other questions about it? Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve our local service plan as presented?
I would move we approve the 26 through 28 local service plan as presented.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, passes unanimously. Information items, we have the tech report that goes on for North Wasco, just as we're here talking about all the updates and cybersecurity on that. And no other information items. Anything else for the good of the board and the district? Hearing that, we're going to recess into executive session under ORS 192.660 sub 2 sub D to conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to carry on labor negotiations. With that, we stand in recess. Thank you very much for everyone for being here, and we'll take a 5-minute break and enjoy our chocolates.
Reports again.
All right, Susan, where did we stick the
that?
slide deck? My LSP slide deck.